Hello everyone, this is the Metal Geek,
And I'm Milky.
and welcome to another Tooncast podcast.
Our first, number one.
Absolutely.
Last week was episode number 0, little introduction on how things are going to go on this cast. But yeah, very excited to start our first one.
Now, if I may say, Maestro, hit the music. Okay, guys, so before we get into what we're going to be covering this week for our cartoon tune, Geek of the Week, man, what you been up to?
Geek of the Week. I've been geeking out on Daredevil on Netflix. Really, really good. I watched all 13 episodes, and I'm happy Daredevil's finally in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I'm up to episode 3 right now.
Sweet.
So I'm still a little bit behind.
That fight scene in episode 2, everyone's been saying that very, very well done.
A lot of Whedon alum writers and directors came out of there. Drew Goddard, Stephen S. DeKnight.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, Drew Goddard, I believe, is the one that developed the series.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's a darker take too.
It's awesome. Yeah, it touches on everything, from Daredevil from the past, at least 30 years, and from Frank Miller, a little Kevin Smith, and then a lot of Joe Quesada, renderings, it's just basically a comic book panel on screen, and it's awesome.
Speaking of Kevin Smith, you met the comic book man.
Oh yes, I met the comic book man this weekend. They're awesome. It was pretty good.
Definitely sounds like a Geek of the Week moment.
I got my picture with them, and I got a photo sign. It was pretty awesome. They're very, very nice guys.
Geek of the Week for me.
What about you?
Be, easily, it's got to be the Daredevil.
Yeah,
easily me this week, because nothing extraordinarily big has happened for me this week as far as geekdom is concerned. But Daredevil, I'm really impressed with this series. I love the look of it. I love how they got that noir feel. I love how it is kind of Batman-ish, but it's also very distinctively Daredevil. And being on Netflix, that they're able to get away with a little bit more than they are on TV. Or, unless it's a show.
After seeing Daredevil, I prefer everything on Netflix. I want Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on Netflix. I think that would have benefit the series greatly. But I understand, the mass appeal of being on cable television and stuff like that. But I'm very excited to see what else Marvel's going to do with Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist.
Yeah, it could still happen with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. too, because I know ABC's been a little bit flip-flopped on because ratings haven't been humongous for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They haven't been terrible, but
yeah, I'm a little bit behind. I've caught up to the winter break when they took that hiatus, where they got Inhumanish.
I'm a little bit behind in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. maybe by an episode or two. Daredevil, I'm just getting into.
And I would love a Peggy Carter, Agent Carter on Netflix. That would be really cool.
Well, definitely they left it open for a second season for the first one. So, Geek of the Week, guys, that's what we geeked out on. Now, let's talk about our animation of the week, and that would be Batman Year One.
It was awesome. It is awesome.
Well, it's based off on the Frank Miller stuff.
Yeah, Frank Miller Year One.
Yeah, going back. A little... the way it's told is through mainly voiceover. In fact, there is very little dialogue that actually happens back and forth within the show. It's there.
Yeah, it's like background.
Most of the time when you're hearing Bruce or Gordon talk, it's voiceover.
Yeah. I thought that benefit it was one of the benefits to having that in the show, in the movie. I mean.
Well,
it told the story really well.
It does hold very appropriate to the darker side of the Batman mythos. It does retell a lot.
Frank Miller turned him to the Batman he is today. If it wasn't for this, Batman would still be campy and smiling.
Well, Frank Miller did come out at a time, you're talking 80s, when comic books were transitioning back from being the Silver Age campiness to the darker, grittier, more pulp versions that were back in the 40s.
Yeah.
So Batman first and foremost, if most people don't understand, or not necessarily understand, but don't know because they didn't like look back into the history of Batman. Batman, started off carrying a gun.
And purple gloves.
Yeah, and he actually killed, but it didn't last for very long.
So did Superman.
Yeah.
Superman was bad when he first started.
Well, actually, the very first version of Superman was Lex Luthor.
Yeah,
basically.
bald, yeah.
He was bald and
Superman.
He had psychic powers, if I remember, telekinesis and stuff. So, yeah.
But when Batman started out, he was very gritty, very noirish, very bad, if you want to say. He's not the character he is today.
Definitely,
that we all know.
Exactly. Definitely not to say that there isn't a place for the, like the Adam West campy 1960s Batman. There is a place for it. It did, in a lot of ways revitalize Batman when Batman maybe wasn't as relevant in comic books. But, it's not necessarily my cup of tea. I get it. In a large way, it's almost like a parody of the Bat. Mm-hmm. And you get it. And as much as I try to get behind it, it's just whenever, you think of Burt Ward as the Boy Wonder, who was very clearly an adult when he was playing his part.
Yeah.
It just, you can't help it, Sometimes you just can't get rid of a bomb,
Yeah.
But yeah, the animation style follows very in line with other animations of Batman that sticks very much to the gritty, dark atmosphere. Very stark.
And it's also produced by Bruce Timm, so it falls in line with what he's done to Batman throughout the past 20 years.
Give or take, yeah. I mean, Bruce Timm is the animation guy for DC in general. Mm-hmm. He pretty much produces the majority of the animated DVD features and stuff like that.
But yeah, I love this story. I remember reading the comic and I thought, if we could get a movie like this, then Batman Begins came out, which is kind of close to this. But once it came out in animated form, this movie, I really like this movie.
Tell me, what do you think of? What would you point out as your highlights?
I'd say Matches Malone, when Batman goes undercover in the streets, and in the story there's like a subplot of a Catwoman, and her not rise, but I guess rise to being Catwoman, and it's just very gritty, very it felt like New York City in the 80s, from the pictures I see, it was very, very translated very well.
My highlights would have to, in a lot of ways, deal with some of the earlier moments with Gordon, and this is really before we get heavily into the Bruce's storyline.
Yeah, he comes to Gotham.
We get a lot about Gordon and his inner struggle, especially a little later on in the movie. Spoiler alerts, guys, we are talking about this, so spoilers all over the place. But when he has an affair and cheats on Barbara, and Barbara is 8.5 months pregnant with their kid.
Yeah.
And he's struggling because he knows he's doing wrong, but he also realizes that he has that desire.
And it's actually because of that affair that he kind of figures out that Batman is Bruce Wayne, or Bruce Wayne is Batman. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So...
And so that would, a lot of the stuff, I guess, for me was with Gordon. With Batman, there was some really neat stuff that was happening. I think I was gravitating more towards Gordon in this particular animation. Because Batman's story's been told a million times over. We really have seen it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I want to see Gordon, even with Gotham, that's out right now. It's Gordon's story.
Exactly.
Which is good.
Now, if you have any nitpicks, what would you nitpick?
I don't really have any nitpicks. I thought everything was done. It told the story what it had to. It was good for what it was. I love that Bryan Cranston was Gordon. That was one of my pluses. I thought he was very good. And Ben McKenzie, who's actually Gordon now in Gotham, he voiced Batman. I would say I guess going back to nitpick, I guess real quick, he sounded a little flat as Batman or Bruce at times. But, I could understand because it had to fit, a moody, kinda, piece. Mm-hmm. So, well, I guess that would be one nitpick. But the plus was Bryan Cranston as a Gordon.
I think Ben actually has a better gruffy voice for Gordon, which is why he works so well in Gotham. As Batman, there were times I felt his voice was too high pitched for it.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm just spoiled after years of Kevin Conroy.
Yeah.
But, you hear him. I mean, how many things has he played Batman in? I mean, Batman the animated series, Justice League Unlimited,
The Arkham games,
and you're just like, he has become the definitive Batman voice. So it gets a little weird for me when I hear something that doesn't quite go to that same darker level. Not to say this was bad, because it was really well handled. It's just I kind of prefer more the Kevin Conroy version.
Mm-hmm.
If I have to say it, nitpicking, this is just from the storyteller in me, the writer in me, so to speak, as I do feel like the translation into an animated movie made some of the story feel a little disjointed. At times,
yeah, I could see that. It felt a little choppy. Yeah, I could see that.
It did. I mean, I get that throughout the Frank Miller story, you're kind of going throughout Batman's year.
Yeah.
And you have to make some jumps. And at the same time, there was a part of me that's sitting there watching this, and you literally get like 2 minutes of animation, and then it gives a date, and then you get another 3 minutes of animation, and then another date, and then 4 minutes of animation, and then another date. You're jumping days and days and days, and then eventually you're jumping months.
Yeah.
And it felt a very disjointed at times to me. Personally, it just felt like there were times that there was large chunks of the story that I wanted to see that wasn't there. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. For me, I guess if you want to see that story, then the story they are telling is telling a good enough story that you want more of it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was a little disappointed because I wanted to see that. I almost feel like year one would work really, really well as a TV series.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Or going back to the Geek of the Week Netflix series.
I mean, you could do it.
Just year one, 13 episodes or whatever,
13 episodes, maybe a few more if you have to.
Yeah.
And you could have those jumps, those gaps, and you have entire episodes to do this.
Yeah, explore, freeform.
I just feel like for a movie, there's a bigger storyline there than what they were able to tell.
And it just kind of just ended abruptly,
Yeah, it did. It had a lot of great moments, though. It really did. Bruce saving Gordon's child. I do, question Gordon a little bit. I know he's in high mode when he's trying to save his kid, but the last thing in the world I would be doing if I had a kid in the car is trying to shoot the tires out. I'm just thinking to myself, if the car flips...
Unless you're a really good shot,
your kid could end up dead inside the car.
Matter,
So, overall, I really love this. I really do. The story just felt a little disjointed in places, and I think it largely has to do with trying to condense a larger story into this movie. But what was there is still very good.
What would you give it out of 5 stars, or 1 to 5?
I'm kind of bordering. I want to say 4, but I kind of feel like it's a little less, like a 3.9 out of 5.
Yeah, I agree with you. High 3, low 4. Definitely out of 5. Yeah, definitely around that mark. And there's actually a sequel to this, and in the comics too, The Dark Knight Returns.
Well,
Frank Miller.
The Dark Knight Returns, which you and I are probably going to cover at some point.
That's my favorite.
They did it
animated...
as a 2-parter.
Oh, it's awesome.
And they actually covered the original comic storyline very well in that.
Yeah.
But they also gave themselves 2 full films.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it... Oh, well, that's another discussion for another time, but that's my favorite DC animated movie that's come out.
I'm actually going to say this, and I wanted to bring this up, is that this is a really great movie, year one, but it's not in any way, shape, or form what I would believe to be DC's best when it comes to their animations. I thought there were some that were even just so far above and beyond, like The Dark Knight Returns and Batman, or The Son of Batman. And even some of the Justice League stuff that came out earlier.
Yeah.
The Wonder Woman movie.
Oh, that's very, very good. That's up there too.
Excellent. It had Nathan Fillion in it there.
Yeah.
So, so year one, I kind of feel like sort of suffers from trying to tell a larger story in a smaller sense. It hits the right marks when it needs to, especially with the emotional arcs, especially with Gordon.
And if you're a Batman fan, you're gonna love it. Like,
yes, absolutely,
it's really good.
I just don't. At this point, Gordon, I felt was the character here.
Yeah.
Because, like I said before, it's not that Bruce was a bad character in this. It's just that we've seen his story a million times over. Parents get murdered outside a theater. He is a confused kid, ends up going off and training and coming back and struggling with the idea of what to do. Gets inspiration to become the Bat, and then he becomes the Bat. And that story I can see it a million times over, but at the same time, I'm going to gravitate towards stories you don't see as often, and that's Gordon.
Yeah, yeah. And he's he's the backbone of the Batman universe, I'd say.
I would have to say, yeah, absolutely. If there's one character that's been as consistent as Batman himself, it's Gordon. Jim Gordon. The guy who basically worked his way up the ranks with a corrupt Gotham Police Department. Because it's just the city itself is just run by the mob. So,
and everything like other series like Batman Beyond and other series that doesn't have Gordon as commissioner, it feels a little off. But it was nice for Batman Beyond to have Barbara as a commissioner. But just James Gordon himself, it just doesn't feel right when he's not in that role as commissioner.
No, absolutely. But, I mean, Batman Beyond also had a lot of other things going for it, too, for what it was trying to do. Of course, we'll get into this, and I'm sure we're going to cover that series.
Definitely. We'll definitely cover Batman Beyond.
But there, just fair warning for anyone who hasn't checked out Batman Beyond and will be checking it out before we get to that. To get the whole story, guys, you're gonna have to jump over to Justice League Unlimited, which finishes the storyline for Batman.
And then
Beyond.
Justice League Unlimited, you need to know Batman the Animated Series, a little.
But you kind of need to know Superman the Animated Series
too.
So.
Yeah, so it's kind of interlocking, the little what they say, the Timverse, that Bruce Timm created.
Well. Yeah, absolutely. Let's put it this way. Marvel has the cinematic universe, and back then DC had the animated universe.
Yeah, easily.
I mean, we had... it would be nice to actually see some stuff come from that universe again.
Yeah.
Because right now, what we're getting is kind of one offshoots and stuff like that now. And we know that DC right now is trying to create a cinematic universe because it's working out really well for Marvel.
And just the other day, they released the runtime for the Batman vs. Superman trailer. It's going to be 2 minutes and 20 seconds, or 2 minutes, between 2 minutes and 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Between there. So it's going to be a lot.
We're going to get a decent trailer.
Yeah.
Although we're not going to get one of those mega trailers.
Yeah, no.
Those not
to a summer movie release or something.
Yeah, the ones that give you 4.5 minutes of that. It's
They give you everything in the movie.
I get that there was a lot of people that didn't care for the Man of Steel. I actually was a very big fan of the movie.
I'm on the fence with that. There's some issues with that, but...
Yeah, I mean, for me, it largely comes down to I'm a self-proclaimed Superman geek and fan. I liked what they did with it, and I don't not recognize the flaws because there definitely are flaws. But some of the flaws that are picked out by people I don't necessarily think are flaws. I think they're just done in a way that people wasn't really expecting it. But that's for a different debate in another day.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I just think this is a great entry in the Batman animated universe. Solid film. If you're a Batman fan, you'll like it. And, check it out.
Absolutely. Again, for me, guys, probably a 3.9 out of 5. It's certainly not a bad film. It's certainly, to me, not the best that DC has offered in the past, maybe decades since they've started doing these things. I would definitely recommend it. Definitely go into it expecting things to be a little disjointed because it is telling a large story about an entire year period. And what's the runtime on this thing?
I had it here somewhere.
I think it's like a little over 90 minutes or something like that. But still, even if it's a little over 90 minutes, this could have easily have been a better choice to do 2 films on.
Like easily, yeah.
So yeah, that's my particular thoughts on that. Again, definitely worth checking out, guys. Anything else to add here?
No, that's about it.
Well, guys, we're not 100% through tonight because we just want to let you know that, yes, we are going to be covering some fairly cool things in the near future. We can definitely confirm to you right now that with Avengers Age of Ultron coming out, we will be doing some Avengers stuff very soon.
Yeah, we got Ultimate Avengers and Ultimate Avengers 2 lined up. There's some other cartoons that cartoon series that we're gonna have to try and squeeze in, but we'll definitely have Ultimate Avengers and Ultimate Avengers 2.
Mm-hmm. And we're definitely checking out
Ultron.
Absolutely, and we're definitely checking out some other shows and stuff like that too, as we mentioned in our last podcast. You expect to hear things about gargoyles. Expect to hear things about King Arthur and the Knights of Justice, or the Knights of yeah, it is the Knights of
Knights of Justice, yeah.
For whatever reason, I always want to call it Knights of the Round.
We're also going to be checking out Batman vs. Robin, which just came out the other day. We're going to check out Justice League Seasons 1 and 2, Conan the Adventurer Seasons 1 and 2, and The Tick. Coming up.
The Tick.
The Tick versus.
You know, we got to throw the live action in there too, because it's so cartoony.
Yeah, it's also, really good. Really well done. And they're actually bringing that back. There's talks of bringing it back. I don't know the status on it, but that would be a great Netflix series.
We are in the age of where old canceled shows have made their comeback. And I think it's just because there are so many different ways to watch your shows now.
Yeah.
Netflix.
You're just not limited to cable TV back 20 years ago.
You can't.
The 90s.
TV is starting to realize, and networks are starting to realize, you really can't just limit anymore. Because now with Netflix doing original series, I mean, they got a lot of original series now.
Yeah.
I mean, Daredevil's just the one in many that they're starting to produce or have produced. They've got House of Cards.
Yeah, Orange is the New Black, a bunch of them,
It's and I know there's a bunch more. I mean, they brought back Arrested Development.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
And there's even talks that they might bring back other canceled
And who knew
shows.
Netflix grew to this from being a DVD service?
Yeah, I know.
It's awesome.
Hey, point in fact, you know that that Blockbuster, who didn't believe in the streaming video market, that it had any real future, was offered a chance to purchase Netflix for something like a sum of $1.2 million, and they would have owned Netflix, but they were like, no, we could just do this whole DVD by mail thing like everyone else. We are the kings of DVDs.
That's great. I never knew
Where's Blockbuster right now?
Yeah. Wow.
So there you go, guys. Your irony of the week. So,
all right, guys. So that was Batman Year 1. So the first episode in our Tooncast podcast.
Absolutely. And this is the Metal Geek, as always, saying having a great
feel
night.
free to write us at tooncastpod@gmail.com.
Oh, yes, we do have our email set up.
Yeah, it's set up now. So send us email. We'll have a Facebook page soon. So, talk to us.
Well, talking to us is how as G.I. Joe would say, is half the battle.
Yeah.
It's half the battle. You get the conversation started, and we'll keep going from there. Again, guys, this is the Metal Geek saying have a great one.
And it's Milky. Tune in next time.
Have a great one, guys.